going on, RotoGrinders? This is Dean here for Sports Card Grinders, our weekly series we've been posting on Thursday nights. Going to be talking about some sports cards in just a second with my esteemed colleagues. Before we dive in and introduce them, I do want to say we had some great feedback last episode. Lots of views, lots of interaction in the chat, lots of likes. We much appreciate that. Want to thank you for watching and thank you for keeping on the watching. And yeah, by all means, if you have any comments in the chat section as far as this episode, feel free to fire away on that. Lot to talk about in this episode. Want to bring in batting first, leadoff hitter. It's the RG utility man, the jack of all trades. It's Simon Edwards. What's going on, Simon?
Not much, Dean. How's it going?
It's going all right. No major complaints. It's Thursday. We're all good. It's sunny out. Like there's a window next to me. I can confirm.
Yeah, that's true. Yep. Looks like a window next to you.
Are you excited? Are you giddy because you're going to be watching? You're going to be opening up your. You have a box of Bowman baseball cards 2020. We're going to be doing that at the end of the show. I imagine you. It's obviously good times. It's a lot of fun opening some cards, and there you go. That box confirms it. Are you going to be able to abstain from opening that throughout the entire show? I know you're excited.
I will do my best to abstain, but it's got some pretty interesting prospects in that box potentially. So it'll be a fun one to open today. We'll go into a little bit about what that set is all about and what you could potentially pull from a box like that.
Yeah, later on in the show, I'm going to fire out a bunch of prospects that we may be trying to target, and you guys are going to tell me. I mean, obviously, we're opening it up. I hope we can kind of grab one of them out of the box, but just buying them a la carte without the, going through the process of hoping you could have them. Maybe if we should be targeting guys, not targeting guys, based upon the price and based upon their projections going forward. And, hey, hopefully there's a baseball season because right now there's not one confirmed, but this whole show is going to be a lot of speculation because we're going to be talking about some NBA playoffs as well too, which we think is going to happen, and we're not exactly sure how it's going to happen. But Brennan Ruby, RG contributor, you're going to tell me how it's going to happen, right? Maybe, possibly?
Yes, I'll tell you all the different options that are on the table and who I think might benefit from each one for sure.
All right, let's hold off on that, but we do want to talk about the NBA playoffs as is. If you're looking at the Vegas odds as far as who we're expecting to make the NBA Finals, it's really a three-team race, two teams from the West, the two LA teams. The Lakers are, according to the DK Sportsbook, currently up, plus 250. The Clippers are plus 333. Essentially, they're saying that one of those Laker teams are going to be in the finals, and the most likely opponent they're going to meet is the Milwaukee Bucks, who are currently plus 250 on the East. On the eastern side, the fourth most popular team from a betting perspective is the Rockets at 13-1. The second most likely team to make it in the East, according to DraftKings, is the defending champs, the Raptors at 18-1. The Celtics at 20-1. Miami Heat at 21. That's bad. I mean, I'm a Heat fan. That's a bad bet. Don't do that. That's a terrible idea. They're not going to make the NBA Finals. The NBA is different than other sports. It's much more predictive as far as who's going to get there. I want to know, I guess, Brennan, we'll start with you because we kind of focused on some of the LA teams and we talked about this pre-show. It seems the NBA would love this. Not that they would ever manipulate these kind of things, but the NBA would certainly benefit from an LA versus LA Western Conference Finals, would it not?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's what everybody wants to see. I mean, just the sheer star power in that series with LeBron and AD on one side, you've got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the other. It just would be both teams would typically play in LA against each other. However, as we've seen, it looks like we're headed to Florida. But I think that's what everybody wants to see. That being said, this is going to be an unprecedented playoffs with no home court advantage essentially and no crowds. I'd be interested to see how that affects the performance of each of the teams. That being said, Vegas does as much research as anybody, and if they think it's going to be the LA teams in Milwaukee, I don't know that I could bet against that for sure.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. It's interesting because I think Milwaukee probably has the better chance amongst those three to make it to the finals, but whoever they face, assuming they face one of those LA teams, I would almost assume that they are a dog once they are there, but they have a cleaner path because they don't have to face one of the LA teams, in their conference final. Do you have a lean? Because I know you want to talk about Kawhi Leonard, obviously Kawhi on the Clippers. Is that because you think the Clippers are going to take the Lakers down and meet? Well, I guess it doesn't matter who they meet in the finals.
From a basketball perspective, I do think that we've got LA with LeBron and AD, and that's kind of more exciting than Kawhi. who is not so much of a fun guy, but is a fun guy. And then you've got Paul George, who I think a lot of people have slept on because he has been in Indiana and Oklahoma City thus far. So I don't blame people for thinking the Lakers are the front runner, but if you look at the teams from top to bottom, the Clippers have a lot better supporting cast. I mean, when you look at a guy like Jamal Crawford and Montrezl Harrell, that pick and roll tandem in the NBA so far has been lethal. And then you add in hot shooters like Landry Shamet, and then a young big man in Zubac, and a great coach in Doc Rivers. I think that's going to be a tough series, and the Clippers could very well take that one. I think it's a lot more of a 50-50 toss-up than some people might think. And from a sports card investing perspective, I think that Kawhi actually has a lot to gain just as much as LeBron winning his first title in LA. Kawhi could be a player who wins a title with 3 different teams, wins an finals MVP with 3 different teams. And I don't know that his prices are reflecting that yet. So I don't know that you have to just stick with the Lakers. I think actually a lot of the value that LeBron brings is built in. He's about as safe as it gets. But I think Kawhi is sneaky when it comes to, at the end of this season, if they win, what that means for his legacy. It very well could put him in the upper echelon, which he's already knocking at the door. So I'm a huge fan of Kawhi, and just that series in general, I think will provide a lot of opportunity from a hype perspective. And as we know, hype drives prices for sure.
Somewhere Marcus Morris is not happy. You did not give him a shout. You gave a shout out to
He's
Landry
too new.
Shamet.
He's too new. He hasn't earned his stripes yet.
You shouted out Montrezl Harrell, but you shouted Zubac got a shout out, but no shout out for Marcus Morris. He's not going to be pleased with you.
He's got to earn it.
Give me the card. Is there what card are we targeting as far as Kawhi?
So Kawhi does have a Prism rookie. If you're looking for the safest bet, I think that's the way to go. The other nice thing about that is it's the first year of Prism, 2012. So it's got a double boost there in value because a lot of people are targeting that set just because Prism is popular and that was the first year it was released. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Select. Kawhi actually doesn't have a base Select card, but he does have a hot rookies insert, which I think will be valuable and maybe a little bit underappreciated as well. But the great thing about sports card investing is there's something for everybody. If you can't quite get up to the Selects and the Prisms, Kawhi has a nice Hoops rookie that you can get a PSA 9 and PSA 10s for well under $100. And if you can't quite get up there to the higher price cards, those smaller cards will appreciate as well. They're not going to be as talked about. They might not see quite the gains that a Prism or a Select does, but the Hoops card for Kawhi is something for someone who's on a budget, and you can get those graded for a really good price. I have one myself that I got for $38. It's a PSA 9 38 for Kawhi, and I actually have seen it drop under 30 since I bought it, so I didn't quite get the best price I could have. So I think if you're looking at Kawhi's cards, Prism is king. I like the hot rookies insert for 2012 Select, and then if you're on a budget, I think the Hoops graded PSA is really good. One thing to consider with cards that are cheaper like that, it's really hard to make your money back if you buy it raw for $5 and then spend another 15 to 20 grading it. If it comes back a PSA 8, you've now lost money. So you're better off when they're that cheap, just getting them graded already. I think that's the safest use of your money when you're looking at that price range.
Simon, I've neglected you enough. I'm going to bring you in now, and I believe are you going to do a screen share here as far as showing off the market mover chart?
Yeah, we're looking at the market movers right now, and we can see that Kawhi's Prism basketball card, the latest price that it went for was around $1,200, whereas the Hoops latest price was $182. So that gives you a little bit of a look at the discrepancy in prices between those two brands. But you can see you can also see that the Prism has had an increase in price lately, and Hoops card hasn't really had that little spike at the end there. So there might be some upside there with this Kawhi Leonard Hoops 2012 base card. This is a PSA 10 that I'm looking at. I know Brennan mentioned PSA 9, I believe, but these are PSA 10s that I'm comparing right now.
This market mover tool you're using, is there by chance, this is a totally random question, do you happen to have a promo code I can use so I can get it at a discount rate for a month?
As a matter of fact, we do, Dean.
What would that promo code be?
If you use the promo code Grinders, you can get 20% off your first payment on any subscription by signing up through our links on our website. You can find them in our articles, or you can go directly to sportscardinvestor.com and use the promo code Grinders, and that'll get you a 20% discount off your first payment on any subscription. So if you sign up for a year up front, that'll get you 20% off the year total. But if you sign up for like a monthly, it'll get you 20% off your first month. So, you can do the math there and see if it's worth it for you to do a whole year up front.
Simon, Brennan gave me Kawhi. Who are you going to give me as a player you want to target from a collecting perspective?
I'm going to give you guys Joel Embiid as my first player. And the 76ers going into the year were one of the top ranked teams. And you can see from their odds right now, it looks like they're 22-1. And I think they're rested at this point. I think Joel Embiid, he had a shoulder injury not too long before the season ended, or before they halted the season. So he's healthy now. Ben Simmons is healthy. I think it's possible that the 76ers can make a run, and they might be a little bit overlooked. Joel Embiid's cards are looking like they're overlooked. They haven't had that same skyrocketing projection as you see on a lot of these NBA cards. You can see his Prism Basketball 2014 silver PSA 10 is around 900, and that's a little bit higher than it was in March, back when prices were taking a big dip due to the quarantine situation. So his card hasn't skyrocketed like you'll see a lot of these other players. And then his Prism Basketball 2014 base card, not the silver, the base PSA 10, you can see has remained relatively flat. It's around like 120 right now. So that's also a card that you might be interested in if you're looking for Joel Embiid rookies anticipating any type of a run into the playoffs.
Yeah, coming into this year, it's fair to say they've probably been disappointing, and like they've been beat up injuries throughout the season. They're the 6th seed as of right now in the East. Again, this is all projecting. Who really knows how it's going to go down? But if they enter a playoff scenario where the 6th seed, in my opinion, they're a better team. At least have a better upside than Miami. They have a better upside than Indiana, and they're much more on the level of a team like Boston or a team like Toronto. And maybe you're grabbing some value there. What say? And also, Embiid's just a likable guy. Like when things are going well, he's one of the more Twitter-friendly people. He's funny as well too, and I don't know. I imagine that would make people want to have his card more so than somebody that's just kind of a grouch. So when he's doing well, I would imagine that would kind of bump his price up a little bit. To be clear, I'm just asking questions. I'm playing the role of host. I am by no means a sports card expert at this point. Brennan, what say you? Confirm or deny as far as Joel Embiid?
Yeah, I think that Joel Embiid certainly has some room to go. Another thing to consider about Joel Embiid is they kind of treat him with baby gloves throughout the regular season. They don't really push his minutes all that much, and he takes a lot of time off. If they get into tight series, he's going to play some big minutes, and those are those games where he's going to come out and have those stat lines that drive card prices up. The one concern with Philly is because they disappointed this year, they're the 6th seed and they have to play Boston, who is also a very good team. But even just in that series, if it goes 6 or 7 games, that could be really good for his values. And Joel Embiid's the type of guy who's still young enough and good enough that if you miss this offseason, like just by chance they get an early out, he's going to have plenty more opportunities throughout his career to see his prices come up. So he's not a one and done kind of guy. So if you take a chance on him this offseason and it doesn't work out, you're going to have plenty more opportunities. But considering that Philly is underperformed, that would lead you to believe that this might be a buy low opportunity for him and Ben Simmons alike.
Yeah, and you mentioned somebody else in that potential series. If that's how it goes down, again, we don't really know. We're just sort of guessing. But if that's the scenario, that's the route they take. You like Jason Tatum. He's no longer 19, but he's still plenty young. He's only 22, and he's certainly had a breakout season, and he's the clear guy in that Boston side. And I guess you see some value in his cards as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that there's value in a sense that his market value isn't fair, or at least in the neighborhood of fair. But the thing about Jason Tatum is up until this point, he's been a prospect we think could break out. I personally, and a lot of analysts have said this, that Tatum has taken the jump to stardom, and he's going to be one of the best players in the league for many years to come. And the reason why I think there's value there is, for one, he's in Boston. They just locked up Jaylen Brown long-term. They're a great organization, great front office, and stars like to play there. So if Jason Tatum stays there long term, which certainly Boston will give him every opportunity to do that, I think he'll be playing on a winner for a long time with the core they have there and just the culture. And they're in the Eastern Conference. Someone like Luka, who is just as good, if not better at this point, is going to have to go through the gauntlet of the West to try to get to the finals and to win one. Yes, Giannis is in the East, and it's going to be tough, but it's much easier for Jason Tatum. So I think now's the time where Jason Tatum starts to become a pretty safe long-term investment. I would say, since his draft year was in 2017, trying to go after parallels like silver or the secondary sets like optic or select is a pretty good option. And as you can see here on the screen that Simon has up, his select card hasn't quite taken the jump that his Prism has as well. So Prism typically leads the industry and the market for a player just because it's the most popular, the safest option. And so going with a PSA 10 silver in the select will possibly give you that potential gain that we've seen in the Prism side. And a set like select was released the same year as Prism. So they're kind of the original, they're the OGs of the Panini's set. And so I don't think they're going to go away if market hype slows down. They're both tried and true. And because select is a hobby only product, I think that the population counts will be much more in check than Prism. So I really like the select for Jason Tatum, both his base and his silver. And then obviously the Prism set as well is going to be very liquid for many years to come.
We're talking about the gauntlet of the West. When you get past the LA teams, one of the up and coming teams out there is Denver. And of course, Jokic is a really interesting piece. I assume he's more money, but Simon, there's somebody else in Denver you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Rhino, IO Rhino, if you know him in RG chat and the RG chat rooms. We got him in the sports card chat over in our RG Discord, and he is going bananas in there, showing off his cards and showing off the players that he recommends and giving people all sorts of great advice in there. He wrote an article for us. We're gonna post it tomorrow about his eBay style. He's been a veteran of eBay selling for a long time, and he recently got back into basketball cards at some point last year, I believe. And he mentioned to me in that article, well, he mentions to everybody in that article, that Michael Porter Jr. is one of the guys that he's targeting. And so I wanted to mention him as a potential buy and show you guys the chart on his 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10 here. You can see it's another one of those. The charts that you've seen us put up so far have pretty much been, like flatline to up a little bit, and those are the types of players that you want to target. It kind of shows that they're going overlooked a bit. So if you can get those players, get them cheap, wait for them to break out or do something that creates a lot of attention and makes their card go up, and then you can flip them pretty well. Because these sports cards, if you're in the stock market, like the stocks typically don't skyrocket, right? You can't just put your money in a stock and double it overnight very frequently. But
unless it's DraftKings stock, have you been watching that?
Unless it's DraftKings stock. But with sports cards, it's relatively frequent to be able to flip your card for a decent return pretty easily just by focusing on those players that aren't getting the same attention and hype that they should be getting. And with these types of players too, I also recommend looking on eBay at their auctions and looking for players that are overlooked and looking for their rookie auto patches, because a lot of those auctions, people ignore them, and you can get I got a DeMarcus Cousins rookie patch card for $2. Cousins may, Dean and I were talking about this earlier in the week, Cousins may not play again, but on the off chance that he plays again, I bought his jersey rookie card for $2 on eBay. If you can get a card like that, like a rookie card of a guy like Cousins, and then he comes back and he makes a big impact, then you're a $2 card, you can easily sell that for $50. So I mean, it's not a huge return, But like considering your cost basis on something like that, that's a significant, like big increase in price there.
Yeah, you mentioned Cousins. I believe he's in the backside of 30. He's a big boy, and he's had the Achilles, and the Achilles is undefeated. And easy guy to root for, like a fun guy to watch, especially in a DFS perspective, and just fun to watch him play. And by the way, he's also a Laker, so like technically he could be a champion. I imagine that would help his cause. I don't know if he's signed beyond this year, and like again, who really knows what his career holds for him? And it's unfortunate for him. He never really got the big payday just because of the way those injuries kind of bit him a couple times. As far as Michael Porter, it's a good segue, because that his whole deal was injuries as well too. He's injured a bunch in college. He fell in the draft for that reason, I believe, just out of the lottery, or 14 overall, something like that. He would have been higher, but he barely played in college. But going into college, he was the number one player in his class, at least according to Rivals and ESPN. They talk about kid gloves as far as Embiid. I don't know what the next step as far as kid gloves. 3, 4, 5, 6 pair of gloves for Coach Malone there in Denver. They just don't want to give him any run. Maybe they give him more run in the playoffs. He's definitely shown flashes where he just, he looks like one of the better, or not the best, one of the better players in the court. And he's still only, 21 years old. We talked about this pre-show, Brennan. It feels like Porter's got a big potential upside, and I guess there's a downside as well too, but you like him as an investment as well.
Yeah, I think he's a great investment. I like to mix and match, kind of my portfolio of cards with safer investments. These are your LeBrons, your Kawhis, your Currys, Giannis's. And then you've got the guys that can give you those overnight returns that Simon talked about. And Michael Porter Jr., probably more than anybody from his draft class at this point, since Trae Young and Luka have both already run up, gives you the opportunity to see those returns. He did have back injuries in college, which, as you said, dropped his draft stock. But sports science is so advanced nowadays. They're going to get every opportunity to fix those things. And so I typically like to buy on certain injury risks, especially when guys are young. Boogie Cousins is a little bit of a different story. He's old. Achilles is about as tough as it gets. So, I'm not concerned with the injuries with Michael Porter Jr. And I think his prices, we see here that his silver has run up, but that isn't the case for all of his cards. His different parallels and even his selects and his optics are still relatively affordable. So I really like the opportunity here for Michael Porter Jr. And we talked about it in our Discord earlier today, or actually our Slack earlier today. Next year's, so there's a couple of things going on with the offseason that I think is going to lead to some potential value for second and third year guys. One, the next draft class doesn't look all that good. And two, they're not going to have much time with their teams this offseason to get acclimated to the players, the sets, and all that kind of stuff. So I really like targeting these second and third year guys that have the upside. And Michael Porter Jr. probably more than anybody has that.
They may, for what it's worth. It's been bantied about. They've been talking about it. Depending on how things go, this is not just this year, but it was talking about previous seasons, starting the NBA season around Christmas. Like that would be the official start date, which I guess would change that perspective, what you're saying. But, everything is up in the air. We don't know it. We're just projecting and guessing at a bunch of stuff, I suppose, which is a
speculation.
Good, yeah, which is a good segue into our next segment. And we'll hold off that Dame Lillard taking a second for you, Brennan, but I guess this kind of applies as well, too. We want to talk about Zion Williamson. And you'd think that the NBA, if they had their druthers, they would want him in the playoffs. Unfortunately, for New Orleans, they're on the outside looking in as of right now. It's interesting because they're like Memphis has the 8th spot. They're 3 games back, 3.5 games back of Memphis. And I remember this kind of monitoring this going in the back 7, back 10, whatever it is, how many games are left. Vegas was saying that New Orleans is going to take them over, despite the fact that they're multiple games behind. Just because New Orleans had momentum, they were healthy again. Of course, they had Zion as well, too. Their schedule was cake. I was listening to shout out to Andy Means, his podcast. He had JJ Redick on there, of course, who's on New Orleans. And they were talking about how, the players were convinced, we're going to make the playoffs. We're coming on strong. We have momentum. We have Zion. We have a great schedule. We don't know what's going to happen here, Brennan. There's some speculation. We saw the NHL, what they did. They said, hey, let's make 12 on each side as opposed to 8 on each side. 24 teams take it. Now, if the NBA takes that approach, of course, Zion would make the playoffs. And there's all sorts of speculation here, Brennan. What do you have for me? Run it down. What are our options as far as how are we getting Zion in the playoffs?
Sure. So Shams from The Athletic actually released a really good article about a survey that went out to the GMs, and it laid out all the different options for the NBA playoffs. So option number 1 is they would just advance directly to the playoffs with the standings as they are now. So 16 teams, top 8 in each conference. We play it, business as usual. Obviously, this would help a team like the Grizzlies, who are fighting off 4 different teams at the bottom of the Western Conference. It would also help, the Nets, who are barely holding on to a half-game lead over the Magic to avoid playing Milwaukee in the first round. And then even on top of that, you've got somebody like the Heat, who would keep their matchup with the Pacers, your Heat, which is much more enticing than facing Philly, who's got more star power than anybody to make a run as a lower seed. So that would have a lot of ramifications if they stuck with that. I doubt that's the way they're going to go. I think that would tick off a lot of the different GMs and teams. And so I think they'll probably go with one of the other options, which would be to expand, as you said, the playoffs to anywhere from 18 to 24 teams. There's a couple of ways they could do this. They could play out a few more regular season games and then do a play-in tournament, which would essentially mean the top seeds would get their spots as usual. And then, anywhere from the bottom, 6 through 9 or 6 through 11 would then play in a play-in tournament. It's still, a lot of the logistics are still to be determined, but the punchline of this option is that a team like the Pelicans, like the Blazers, and like even the Kings and the Spurs at the bottom of the West could potentially have a chance to make it into the playoffs and play one of those LA teams in the first round. From the Eastern Conference, the team that stands to benefit the most is Washington. Things are a little bit more solid out there. I don't think anybody's getting excited about my Charlotte Hornets. I live in Charlotte now, and the Chicago Bulls. So I think from a impact perspective, expanding it to 18 to 24 teams would really help out the Pelicans, Kings, Spurs, and the Blazers.
Common sense perspective. Oh, go. I was going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm looking at the East, right? Orlando is the 8th seed. They're 5 games up on Washington. Let's look at this logically. Washington, Charlotte, Chicago, New York, those teams were not catching Orlando. Almost definitely not.
Yep.
It seems. And the other part of that is, if you're a Washington Wizard, and this is something JJ Redick talks about as well, too, on the podcast with Andy, he basically said a lot of players that know they're on the worst team in the league, they don't want to come back to play 5 games or 10 games. And, you have to go through basically a second, get ramp yourself all back in shape, and which might take a month or so, depending on how long that's going to take, just to play 3 games potentially. Like, how do you even convince yourself of doing that? And if they allow Washington and Charlotte and Chicago to partake, those guys know, even if they somehow come out of the round robin and win, they're going to get shellacked anyway. So they're lame ducks. I don't know, just a thought. But go ahead, continue.
No, and you alluded to another option there. Instead of doing a play-in tournament, they could replace the first round of the playoffs with a round-robin group stage. And so I think one of the things that makes that interesting is another level to this, which we haven't really talked about yet, is whether or not they're going to reseed all of the playoff teams, or if they're going to keep it in East versus the West. If they reseed it, the teams in the West get a huge bump. Mainly the Clippers, Lakers, Denver, Utah, because as we saw in the Vegas numbers, they love Houston. Houston's below Utah, below Denver, yet they have much better odds to win the finals. And so the Western Conference is going to be a gauntlet. And if they decide to expand it into 20 or 22 teams and do a round robin in the first round, that's going to totally change the game. We might miss out on our LA versus LA in the finals, or the Western Conference finals, but maybe we'll see it in the finals. So, there's a lot of different ways this can go. I am almost willing to bet that we're going to see at least 18 teams. I think the Western Conference would try to make it 20 at least. And so that could definitely give ourselves a chance to see more players in the playoffs, and it'll not only garner some hype, but also expand your pool from an investing perspective. We alluded to Zion, who, if he plays in the playoffs, the hype train is going to go off the tracks. And then you've got a guy like Damian Lillard, who right now wouldn't be in the playoffs if they started today, that is known for big playoff moments. So if if we see them expand the playoffs, we all of a sudden have to start looking at these guys as potential bargains if we can find them at good prices. Yeah,
Lillard, by the way, came out and tweeted the other day, basically said, I'm not going to come back and play games that don't matter. Essentially, I don't want to just be a lame duck. It's just, and I don't think they would do that. There's all sorts of options and all sorts of routes, and we're just kind of speculating here. Worth noting, you mentioned the Jazz. They lost. Who did they lose? They lost one of their players, Bogdanovic, with a wrist. In the offseason, no, not in the offseason, a couple weeks ago or like a week ago. Their team took a hit for what it's worth.
Yeah, I I haven't seen that, but he is a big piece of that team, and we know that they went through some turmoil with the whole situation between Mitchell and Gobert. There's speculation that that's been squashed, but we don't know. I mean, that was certainly tough on all of them. So Utah is a team that is definitely going to be paying attention to how this plays out, because if they have to play Houston or one of those Western Conference teams, it could be an early exit.
Yeah, I'm not bullish on Utah's chances for multiple reasons, like you suggested, and probably the locker room chemistry. Who really knows as far as the reports that are out there as well. Simon, you wanted to show something off. You want to show us the Zion base prism PSA 10 chart. Have you been doing this the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking right here at a chart of the Zion Prism Silver PSA versus the base PSA, both PSA 10s. You can see that the cards themselves have kind of flatlined over the last month or so. So they've been kind of stagnant again, like some of these other cards that we're looking at. But the potential for Zion to be on a big stage like the playoffs is going to be huge for him, especially considering you look at NASCAR. They've had races recently televised, and their ratings have been higher than they've ever been. So there's a lot of interest in sports right now. People are clamoring for seeing anything on their TV, any type of live sports action on their TV. So there's a lot of demand. So potential Zion in the playoffs would be a huge stage for him and give him a lot of attention.
Well, it'll be interesting also if they're all playing in Orlando. I imagine we're going to have games at like 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock and like 9 o'clock. It'll be really interesting to see. And this is not a DFS show, and I'm really curious how we're going to handle that from a DFS perspective too. Yeah. We're just happy to have it back. But from a sports card collecting, I guess you want your guy that you have the cards of playing in prime time, not 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Brennan, did you want to say anything else as far as lowered, or shall we jump and pivot to baseball?
We can go ahead and pivot to baseball. Like I told you guys kind of before the show, even these lower teams probably are going to have an early exit. So you definitely want to pick guys that aren't reliant on this playoffs. A guy like Damian Lillard has already had a great year, great career. So you've got some time to try to get some gains on him, even if this year doesn't work out.
All right, Simon, fire up the screen share. You're going to be showing off some Bowman 2020 screen share there. And, of course, later on in the show, we're going to be opening up a box. Hopefully, I've been a mush so far. I've not been on a show where we've opened up something pretty good. So hopefully I'm due, or you're due. And this is your cards, right, Simon?
Yes. These I bought retail last week. I was able to get there before they were cleaned off the shelves. And I've been waiting to open it. I was debating on opening it or selling it. I bought several boxes. I sold the rest of them. This is my last one left. So I figured it'd be a good opportunity, if we're talking about Bowman on the show, to open up a box and show the people what the cards look like.
We're going to talk some prospects in a second as far as baseball, the ones we want to pull out. But I'm just curious because when you say you found some, you're hitting up like Target, you're hitting up Walmart, all those kind of stores. And how much are they being sold for, and how much are they actually worth?
Well, they're being sold on Target or Walmart. You can buy them for about $20 for a blaster box, and those boxes sell on eBay for probably $36 to $40. So there's quite a markup. You can make about 50+% on them if you flip them like that. So if you happen to stumble on one of those stores after the vendor has stocked the shelves, then you're in luck, because you want to try and buy as many as you can right now, at least while the demand is strong. Who knows where it'll be in a couple weeks. It's still a new product, so it's pretty fresh, but we don't know which direction the demand for these boxes is going to go. But
you cleaned them out, I assume, Simon? You bought them all?
Yeah, I bought about 10 or whatever it was. But yeah, I got one left, and I'm ready to open. I've been good all week. I haven't opened a single box, and I got this one left. So, I'm ready to open.
I'm told people are like paying stockers, like trying to figure out, like, tell me the time, like everything's coming in. Is that a thing that's going on? I guess maybe to a greater scale, depending on, how much the upgrade is as far as value, and what Walmart or these stores are actually selling it for. Is that a thing that's happening?
I'm sure. Like sometimes if you run into a vendor. I've read people running into vendors and they say they have no boxes, like even though they're just taking everything out of the box. So it's a little suspect there. But for the most part, if you're able to stumble upon a shelf that has the product on it, buy it. It's flipping pretty easily on eBay or Facebook or wherever platform you want to sell it right now.
Brennan, what can you tell me about this Bowman 2020? How much will be printed, and do you expect the demand to remain strong?
So I don't know a ton about the baseball market in general, but I know that Topps came out and said that not all of this set is going to be ready for launch, and so it's going to take it'll take time for it all to get out, which I think means it'll drag on the value and the hype for this, especially considering everything else going on. So baseball cards are typically more plentiful than basketball. That being said, these are the very first prospect cards you can get for these guys, and so they hold a ton of value. And I think, getting in on this set gives you a chance to get in on these guys before the rest of the market does. So I really like this product from a value perspective, considering it's the very first chance at a lot of these guys. But I think that also means it might take some time for these guys to pan out. You talked about it before the show that based on all the logistics of service, time served and all that kind of stuff in baseball, they might not break out right away in basketball. You see guys like Luka and Trey break out in their rookie year. You have to be a little bit more patient with these baseball guys, but that also means you're getting them at good prices if they turn out to be the next big thing.
Yeah, unless of course that's Jason Dominguez, who's 17 years old, and people are just like, I guess he's a Yankee in part. Of course, I think he was the biggest international signing as well too, on record. Or the Yankees paid him like $5 million or so. Just turned 17, and Simon, you asked me to come up with a list of prospects that I thought would be interesting and worth monitoring for this upcoming season. And Dominguez is one of those guys who might not play for 3 or 4 years, but you were quoting some crazy prices out there on this dude. And I should say, I made a prospect list. I made an initial list, and I hit up one Dave Potts. You guys know him better as Cheese is Good, who is one of the best minds, if not the best mind in all of DFS and all of baseball in general, fantasy baseball. And he's just locked in on all this stuff. And he threw a couple extra names my way too, which we'll kind of knock out. And he basically said the same thing I did as far as Dominguez is, yeah, he's supposed to be a great talent, but we're not talking about him cracking the big leagues until like 3 or 4 years down the road. Maybe 3 years, we're being optimistic, just turned 17, but and we're talking about thousands of dollars as far as his card, right, Simon? Like, I don't know if I want to. And
yeah,
things can also go awry in baseball. I think these big time prospects tend to not be as consistent as basketball. Like Zion, right. LeBron, they tend to be a little bit more variance in baseball. So I don't know. I can't be in on that.
Well, this card, this player is being super hyped right now, and I think he's the reason why all this demand is on Bowman 2020 right now. You have an opportunity to get a autographed chrome card of Jason Dominguez. Right now, it's going on eBay for $1,300. $1,550 was a recent sale. So like in that almost close to between. There's one for $1,651. So anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000, it seems, is the range for it right now. Of course, while the market is trying to be made and people are trying to figure out what the market value of this card is, you're going to see these crazy discrepancies in prices. But once it settles down, I would guess it settles down somewhere around like $1,300 or so from the looks of this, maybe closer to $1,500.
All right, I'm going to fire some prospects that I think are going to be playing this year in the majors, assuming there's baseball in the majors, assuming the owners and the players can figure this out. And we talked about this pre-show, Brennan, as far as the service time. And like traditionally, 162 game season, teams will hold off their rookies for a month or 2 or 2.5 months, depending on, so they can buy themselves another year of control. I imagine when they figure this out, if they figure this out as far as an 82 game season, give or take, that might change. I don't know. This is just guessing. We're guessing on everything in this show. This is another guess here. And maybe that'll change it for rookies, and all of a sudden rookies can just there's no service time hit if they start the year and they play the 81 games. Again, all up in the air, no idea. First player on my list, Simon, I guess, are you going to be screen sharing this? You'll be showing this and tell us what the market says. Joe Adel. Joe Adel is projected to be coming up this year and share the outfield with Mike Trout there with the Angels. super athlete there. Lots of strikeouts for what it's worth, also lots of power. Just 21 years old. I suspect he'll be coming up this year at some point. What is the market saying, Simon, as far as Joe Adel?
Let's see. It doesn't look like we have him yet. Let me try to get rid of his autograph card. I'm looking up their autograph to give you the
Okay.
Yeah, but let's check out his regular card. Yeah, it's not going for a whole lot right now. There was a let's see.
So these are base
like
paper prospects. This is what I think that's they're called right now, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, a lot of these guys are also crossover as autograph cards as well too in this Bowman set.
Yeah, the Chrome version of that, a lot of 4 got sold for $10. So that gives you an idea of where that one currently is.
All right. I guess I don't know if that's high or low. You tell me. But I mean, Joe Adel is one of the bigger prospects in all of baseball. Probably, if you look at there's so many different places that have prospects lists, but he's probably top 5. I saw something to the effect of maybe he's one of the number 1 or 2 outside of the teenagers. So and sharing the outfield, Mike Trout can't hurt either. Let's jump to this is probably the biggest prospect in all of baseball, Wander Franco. Now he may or may not come up this year. I don't know. He's just 19. He projects as his ceiling is massive. He's a possible top 5 player in all of baseball, switch hitter for the Tampa Bay Rays, shortstop as well. You were talking about, I can't remember which name you said was popping for somebody. I would imagine this is the guy. If it's not him, it's probably Luis Robert, who we'll get to in a second, Simon, or Brennan. I'm not sure if you're looking at the same thing. Who wants to chime in and talk to me about the market as far as Wander Franco?
Well, Wander Franco, his Bowman Chrome autograph card looks like it went for $140. There's only one sale right now in our database, but it went for $140.
All right. I mean, Brennan, am I buying that? Is that good? Do we know? What do I use as like a marker to see if that's a good price or a bad price?
So I think what you'd want to do in this scenario is possibly look at all of the autos for this set or very similar cards and see if it makes sense. If Wander Franco is a top 5 prospect, but his price is similar with middle class prospects, that definitely looks like a value. When you've got a set this early on, the prices still have to level out. We need enough of a sales history to come up with a baseline. So finding those values by comparing players, I think is a good way to do that. And in baseball, you'd probably want to look at similar players. So if you're looking at a pitcher, look at other pitchers and see if the price matches their value as a prospect. So and one thing to consider in baseball, and it's the same in basketball and even football, people love offense. So if you've got a prospect that's got power, upside, it's going to generate a lot of runs. I think that's better than a guy like I used to be a Cincinnati Reds fan. You had a guy like Billy Hamilton who just stole a bunch of bases, but he was a toothpick. So I think getting the guys with power, they demand more value. And if they've got a nice offensive game, I think that's the guys you want to look at relative to their peers.
Why did you give up on the Cincinnati Reds?
It was brutal. Frazier was the final straw for me. Once they got rid of him, I was done.
Y'all got Trevor Bauer now. He's pretty fun. No?
Yeah, he is fun. Yep.
Okay, so if this guy's not in the database, we'll just move on, and I'll throw a couple names out your way. But Simon, what do you have for me as far as Luis Robert? Yeah, I suspect he's going to crack the lineup. I suspect he's going to play every single day for the White Sox this year. 22-year-old outfielder, righty. Looks like a potential 30-30 guy. He's a potential guy like fantasy guys are going to love too. DFS are going to love him as well. Season-long DFS, however you look at it. Do we have anything as far as data for Luis Robert?
Let's see. Give me a
I would hope so. I would imagine so. And if we don't, we'll just move on from these other guys because if he's not in there, these other guys aren't going to pop either.
Looks like nothing for the autograph, but let me check his base Chrome card here.
As you're checking, I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. A couple other names I think they're kind of sort of interesting. There's no need to look these up, I suppose. You mentioned some pitchers. Forrest Whitley, 22-year-old pitcher out of Houston, strikeout pitcher. I think he's certainly interesting. Houston, of course, lost Garrett Cole. I'm not sure if he's going to jump in that rotation right away. Who knows? We shall see. Stay tuned. Another pitcher that's interesting is Nate Pearson for Toronto. Big boy, 6'8", 245. He hit 103 on the gun in the Arizona Fall League as far as their All-Star game. There is some workload concerns, but Toronto fun future as far as that lineup. Lots of kids with bats, sons of Hall of Famers, Biggio, Guerrero, and Bichette was a Hall of Famer. But, they have the kids there. But as far as the arms, Nate Pearson could be the arm of the future, 23 years old. So I would imagine he's going to crack the rotation from the get-go. And I also have Royce Lewis, former number 1 pick, has not been spectacular, but I imagine you can get him on the buy low. Struck out too much, not enough walks there for Minnesota. But if he cracks that Minnesota lineup, it's going to be one of the more potent lineups in all of baseball. So he's certainly worth monitoring. What do you have for me, Simon? Did I buy enough time? You have any thoughts as far as Luis Roberts?
It looks like his spanning the globe Chrome card is going for about in the $3 range. He's got another card, another prospects card that is going for, looks like $3
seems like a lack of respect, though.
Yeah, pretty wide variety of prices here. It's still like I said, the cards have only been out for like a week so far.
Okay.
But his Chrome refractor, I see it going for like $23. Let's see.
Can you put that in perspective? Like, who else is $23? Can you see that or no? Or is that a whole process?
Not off the top, like without setting it up first.
Fair enough. Like Luis Robert, depending on what projection model you're looking at, we're looking at a projection of 2020 this year with some upside as well too. I pulled up the bats got 22 and 16. Depth charts got 24 and 24. Zips is at 20 and 24. Of course, he's getting about between 120 and 130 as far as the games there, according to projections. Adjust your projections accordingly because it's not going to be that many games. I can't imagine, at least. I want to throw out a couple more names. Just these guys were not in the set you asked me to kind of check, but Bowman Scouts top 100 autograph set. If you pull out one of these guys as far as future considerations, again, some of these names are thrown to me by Cheese is Good, Dave Potts, but Michael Kopech was awesome, like an uber prospect, huge prospect, but he had the Tommy John surgery, showed flashes for like 15 innings or so 2 years ago. He didn't play at all last year, but he should come back to some degree this year. Oakland, they have a couple prospects in AJ Puck, Jesus Luzardo, Carter Kieboom for Washington's worth a note, worth monitoring, another prospect out there, and Julio Rodriguez, I believe he's on Seattle. Bunch of prospects for you guys to monitor. Are we just going to dive in here, then Simon, and open up our box?
Yeah, are you ready?
Unless you had anything else, or Brennan, if you have anything else to add here, feel free, or we can just open up some packs and have a good time.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think you've covered things pretty well as far as some prospects to look out for. I think just adding on Jason Dominguez. I've heard him compared to a young Mike Trout. I know there's been a lot of hype on him. It kind of reminds me of maybe the hype on Strasburg. What would you say about that, Dean? Like, when was the last time you saw a guy that was hyped this much?
Yeah, I don't know. I would say Harper. I wouldn't necessarily comp pitchers to the bats.
Yeah.
And my assumption is that arms are more volatile. They're just more likely to get injured. That's just from my history. And I'm not speaking from a place of knowledge on that, but I think that just makes sense that the pitchers are more volatile. And I don't know a lot about Jason Dominguez. I read his Wikipedia page. I think he just turned 17. Like, right. I want to say he's Dominican, but he's a Yankee, which is certainly a perk.
That was the other thing I was going to add. Like, being on a team like the Yankees is just going to make the attention on you all that much more. Being in a huge market like that, being a power hitter, being hyped the way that he's being hyped compared to Mike Trout, like I said, there's just a ton of potential there, which kind of explains the perfect storm of his prospect autograph cards being so high up. And I actually have some more of those cards to show you guys, some sales of the parallels. Let's see. We got the Chrome Prospect autographed gold card sold for $14,000. The Chrome Gold Shimmer autograph card sold for $10,000. The looks like a green refractor card went for $16,000. So that gives you a kind of an idea of what these are actually selling for. you have to check into the history of the bids and everything to make sure it wasn't like shill bidding that drove it up that high. But that gives you an idea of, like the hype surrounding these guys right now, or this guy right now.
Yeah, and again, you're not going to see results in the majors probably at least 3 years. Like 3 years is probably the opposite of conservative. I think he's just so young, and that's just the way baseball goes. And a guy, different sports I think are more predictive. Like LeBron being successful is more predictive than a guy like Dominguez. Not saying you can't do it, not saying you can't get there, but in my estimation, it's just more variance when it comes to baseball as opposed to a sport like basketball, which seems to be more predictable. Let's move on. Let's dive in. Let's open up a box. What do you have for us, Simon?
All right, let me just switch over my camera here.
We want to get a Wander Franco. Is there anything guaranteed? I think it's like 6 packs, right?
I don't think anything's guaranteed in this one. It's 5 packs plus the extra pack. I would imagine that extra pack has inserts in it. That's usually what it is with the boxes that I've opened so far. So let's dig in here.
What's the best thing you've opened so far?
Oh Jesus, I haven't opened anything good, man.
Oh, geez,
like Dean, like the best one that probably the best one is that Bosa autographed redemption card. So that gives you an idea of what my luck's been so far. I tried to open I was able to get a few cellos of Mosaic last week as well, and I tried to open one of those, and it was like just the same.
Are you taking the cellophane off? You didn't take the cellophane off pre-show? Come on, Simon, you got to be.
I got to show people that it's still like a sealed box.
Yeah,
Brennan knows what I'm talking about.
Right? Somebody's gonna be like, "Oh wait, the cellophane wasn't on there. Clearly, this is rigged." Is that what's happening? Is
exactly. Thank you.
Are there conspiracies going on, Brennan, that I'm not aware of when it comes to these boxes? Or
yeah, you got to make sure it's authentic. It's a real deal.
Yeah. A lot of things with this packaging that you'll notice too is like there's a lot of dead space inside here. So
yeah,
look at that. Like that's what we're looking at for. If I can get the angle.
It's right like here. A bag of chips, false advertising, right? Is that what you're saying?
But Bowman, this particular pack box has a lot more cards than I'm used to, which is good. All right, first pack, guys.
Let's do it.
Come on, Dominguez.
After the last pack opening debacle, spent some time to try and get this set up so that we can actually see what's going on. So let's open the first pack here.
Now, is there any Bowman, of these rookies that are guaranteed a certain number in a box, or do they guarantee anything like that, or no?
I don't read the box. I just open the cards, man.
Okay, fair enough.
I haven't seen anything about specifics. I just saw 72 cards, 5 packs in the extra pack.
Fair enough.
All right. So Dean, I'm gonna rely on you to tell me if there's any good pulls here. Okay.
All right. I'm trying to make your screen bigger.
All right. You got Sean Murphy.
Okay. Gratterall? I think it's a relief pitcher.
Gruzdar Grattarol, looks like.
Okay.
What is that? Zach Collins.
Alrighty.
Oh, here we go. Here's some sort of an insert, it looks like.
It's one of the Marlins prospects. It's not their top prospect. Sixto Sanchez is a better option. Or what's the dude that the Jeter traded for, the shortstop? Jazz Chisholm.
So okay. So that's,
is this Bobby Witt Jr.? Yeah, this is he's a hype prospect. He almost made my list.
Yeah, Witt Jr. was one of the guys that I've heard hyped up a bit. So this is definitely a good one. It doesn't.
And then feel free if you have a chance to try to look any of these up. If anything kind of pops for you, if you can see what Bobby Witt's worth, is that a special insert or anything, or is that just a regular card?
No, this one doesn't look like a refractor. It looks like a base, but Bobby Witt is definitely one of the names that I've seen talked about. So that's not bad.
I'm fairly certain his father was the pitcher, Bobby Witt. That's why he's Bobby Witt Jr.
Yep.
Okay. Pitched for the Rangers. How about that?
Nolan Jones. Yep.
So wait, these are all minor leaguers in this box?
I don't think all of them. No.
Okay.
They have first prospects, but then they have it mixed in with current players and rookies.
Okay.
Let's see. We got Esteban Florio.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. He might be good. I couldn't tell you.
We got looks like a chrome Hunter Bishop.
Okay.
Put put that over here. We got a Chrome. What's that? Ulrich Bojarski.
I don't know who that is either. So yeah, again, I'm not somebody that's up on my prospects a ton. I'm aware of the top like 20.
Yeah.
And I don't think I recognize that name. But Bowman, he played a little last year. He's got some speed, but I don't think he's got much of a bat.
Gotcha. Mauricio Dubon, it looks like. Mikel Baez.
All right.
Michel Baez. Travis Demerite.
Dimitri.
So
is it? Yeah, I don't think there's anything in that pops outside of Witt. Again, I could be wrong, but none of those names are really popping for me. What do you have for me, Brennan?
This will tell you how up like real time this market movers tool is. So 30 minutes ago, one of those Witts sold for $8.
Okay.
There you go.
So there you go.
So that's half the box right there.
Was that if you can find it at Walmart?
That was not a Chrome. That was the paper prospect.
Okay.
If it was a Chrome, we're looking at probably closer to 20. Looks like.
Okay. I can deal with 8.
That's acceptable for you?
Yes.
I got the MLB.com prospects list in front of me too. If anybody sort of pops or anybody looks interesting, just want to see. I know some of these names. I don't know every single one of them. I'm a DFS guy. What do you want from me? Oh, Rhys Hoskins. There you go. That's a real
Rhys
player.
Hoskins. Is that a rookie? No.
No. Aaron Judge.
Aaron Judge.
Plays baseball. Mookie Betts.
Put him on the scrap heap.
Isaac Paredes. I'm not sure if I know who that is.
This looks like one of those spanning the globe cards. It's a Chrome card, so this is one of those prospect insert cards. So that's a nice looking card. We'll have to look up the player afterwards to see if it's anything. But it's
if he's on Detroit. I just pulled up Detroit's top 20, top 10 prospects. He's currently number 5 in Detroit for what it's worth.
Gotcha. Daniel Lynch. We got Tristan Lutz.
Yeah, what a terrible name.
Alex Manoah.
Lutz, the number 4 prospect in Milwaukee for what it's worth.
Okay. Oh, we got a Chrome Alex Manoah.
They get the wrong pitcher from Toronto, I believe. Listen, I don't think I'm aware of this character. Let's see. Yeah, so Pearson Manoah's their 4th best prospect for what it's worth. Pearson's the guy you want for Toronto.
Gotcha. Christian Pache, Chrome. The Chromes are really nice looking. I like the like kind of the refraction on it.
That's the number 1 prospect for the Braves. I believe he's supposed to be good.
Okay. We got Xander Bogaerts.
Is that Acuna?
Acuna. Yeah, we got Acuna. I don't
Acuna's
think that's his rookie though. I think
it's not his rookie.
I think his rookie was last year. But
Brennan, is that just a throwaway if it's not his rookie, or it's not like a special insert or something?
And I'm looking it up right now to see if there's any sales. In basketball, second-year cards can be really good for certain players. I don't know how that works in baseball, but if Acuna turns out to be one of the all-time greats, then I think a lot of his cards will increase in value, even if it's from $5 to 10 to 20. So,
hey Simon, that last card you had, Aristides Aquino, that guy's got a ton of power. Like if he gets a chance to play, he's got a chance hitting 40 homers.
Nice.
He's got some holes in his swing too. He's still playing young.
Is that a rookie card?
He played last year. I don't know when his cards may or may not have come out, but he showed a lot of pop last year.
Gotcha. All right, here we go. George Springer.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got Junior Fernandez.
All righty.
We got Tony Gonsolin.
He pitched a little bit last year.
All right, we got one of these top 100, Ke'Bryan Hayes.
That's on Pittsburgh?
Yep, looks like it.
He's their second biggest prospect behind Mitch Keller. Mitch Keller played in the majors last year, so I presume he's probably moved up to their top prospect. That doesn't necessarily mean he's great because some teams' top prospect is not as good as our team's third best prospect, but there's some promise there.
We got Xavier Edwards, Ruben Cardenas, Nolan Gorman. We got Cole Wynn. Chrome
Good name
card.
for a pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I like these chromes. Nolan Jones.
Cole Wynn is the number 4 prospect on Texas for what it's worth.
Okay. Nolan Jones. We got
top prospect
Randy,
for Cleveland, Nolan Jones.
Okay. Randy Arozarena, I guess.
I see Yordan Alvarez, I believe.
Ooh, Yordan Alvarez. That's his rookie card, so that's a good one.
This is his rookie?
Yep, that's his rookie. See the little logo in the top.
Okay, so even though he came up last year and like he played, hit 25, 30 homers in like maybe 100 games or so, he didn't have a card.
Right.
At least not a Bowman card.
Well, he may have had a prospect card, but I guess he didn't have a rookie card.
Gavin Lux is a big upside. He played for the Dodgers last year. The problem with him is it's a good and bad. Like they can bury him. He can play like 8th in that lineup because that lineup is so deep. But Lux is good too. And was that a rookie card for Lux or no?
Let's see.
Did it say, was there an R next to it?
Lux, that is a rookie card. Yeah.
Yeah, that could be something. He's like him and Dustin May are the two of the bigger prospects of the Dodgers.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of rookies and a lot of these first prospects in these packs.
I feel like you're doing well. I don't know. There's a lot of good names that are popping just in 3 packs.
I was gonna say that does feel like I'm doing well, but I haven't opened any of these boxes before, so I don't know what to compare it to.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to make a judgment, but I mean, it feels like I've made back the value.
Is there any like gold cards that we're looking for, or something sick? Are we gonna get an autograph card at some point?
Well, we could. Yeah, they got autographs. They got those gold refractor cards, those gold refractor autograph cards.
Let's get one of those.
A ton. Yu Chang rookie looks like. Tim Anderson. Whit Merrifield. Aaron Savali, rookie.
He picked last year.
Rookie of the year favorites. That's another insert card there. Let's see. We got Blaine Rutherford. Tristan Kazas. Jared Kalenic.
Not aware of him.
We got a chrome card here. First prospect, Joey Cantillo.
That name sounds familiar. He might be a thing.
We got
no, not really. Oh, this guy's a thing. This is one of the top prospects in baseball. Okay. Catcher for Baltimore.
Richmond. Okay.
Yeah,
that'll go in the keeper pile there.
Yeah, check him up there, Brennan, if you can find.
What was his last name?
It's Adley Rutschman.
Rutschman, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him like all the way up to the top 5 on some lists, depending on where you look.
Jordan Yamamoto. Is he good?
I stacked against that guy multiple times last year. Did not work out for me. Oh, Ohtani. There you go. Show him.
Is that looks like that's just a regular.
Probably his second year, I guess.
Yeah.
And Giolito.
And Giolito. All right. So another decent pack, like if I
think Adley's
prospects
something.
Work out.
If you can find that, Brennan, as far as Adley Rutschman, catcher for Baltimore.
Was that a chrome or was it just regular?
That was a chrome.
Yeah, I was looking at the prospects list, and like again, depending on your look, I've seen them like anywhere from 5 to 10. I don't know how updated these lists are. Of course, things have changed, but yeah, he can definitely be worth a look. Christian Yelich,
right,
not his rookie
though. Yelich. Damon Loreno.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Yastrzemski. We got a top 100 scouts, Alex Kirilloff. Kirilloff. Nice cards again. Like these are really slick.
We mentioned Royce Lewis. Oh, there's Joe Adel.
Joe Adel.
Is that a special card or just that's his rookie card?
Yeah, just his base. It's not his rookie card according to this. It doesn't have the little logo on it anywhere.
Well, that's a bummer.
Yeah. We got Gus Farland, Heliot Ramos. Here we go with the Chromes again. Braylon Marquez.
Cubs prospect.
Let's see. We got Jordan Adams, another Chrome.
Urania.
We got Jose Urena, Francisco Mejia, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But that's not his rookie card, though. It doesn't look like.
Brennan, you got anything for us as far as that Baltimore catcher?
Yeah, so it looks like his Chrome is going anywhere from $5 to $8.
Okay.
But I mean, here's the thing: if you're telling me he's one of the best prospects in baseball and he could be a thing, like this is the ultimate set to prospect hunt here, and just hold on to these things as they appreciate in value. Because if you look at cards like this for Acuna or Mike Trout, they're not $5. I can tell you that they're much more. So, and I've seen several as we've gone through here that are anywhere from like $2 to $8. Which, if you get 6 or 7 of those in a box, you could have just paid it off, plus the appreciation as their careers play out. So, looks like a pretty good box so far from a prospect perspective.
According to MLB.com, he's number 4 for what it's worth, as far as ranked prospect. This may have changed.
All right, guys, we got Willie Adams.
Adamas.
We got Chris Bryant. We got Kettle Marte.
Looks like a green card coming up. What's
guys.
that?
Oh, we got a Calvin Biggio, and it's 35 out of 99. So this is a nice little insert, limited edition.
We talked about him earlier in the show. The Toronto kids. Kevon Biggio looks legit.
All right, Glenn Allen Hill Jr.
Had no idea.
JJ Bleday. We got Logan Davidson. Josiah Gray Chrome card. Look at that refraction. We got Ruben Cardenas. First prospect. Jack Flaherty, Alex Young, and Nick Solak, and that'll wrap it up for this.
Knocked them all out. We opened all the boxes, all the packs.
That's all of them.
Were you able to get anything there, Brennan, as far as what was the card that we liked that was interesting? There was something that popped, wasn't there? Oh, the Biggio card. Can you find anything in that? Oh, Brennan, you're on mute.
Kevon Biggio.
Kevon Biggio. Yeah, I'll look it up. The hard thing with the serial numbers is the sales is going to be very light here.
Especially on a card that's been out for like a week.
Yeah.
So there's less than 100 that exists, and it's only been out for a week, so you probably can't find a sale on it, is what you're saying.
Right. Well, yeah. So I can type in – this is the nice thing about market movers, though. I can type in green for the 2020 Bowman set, and we can look at some of what those are selling for. So let me pull that
Let's check that out. Let's see what his contemporaries are.
Sure. So I have a let's see here from the Reds. I can't say some of these last names. Seth Beer. Is Seth Beer a worthy comp?
I'm not sure who Seth Beer is.
Plays for the oh man, doesn't even say. Some of these titles are not so helpful either.
Yeah, Seth Beer is I think he's in the minor leagues for somebody. He's a Houston prospect, apparently, I think.
Well, his went for 20. So
I'll tell you this, Biggio, I will take Biggio over Seth Beer.
There you go. There you go. Artisides Aquino from the Reds. I don't know if I said that correct.
We just talked about him, Aristides Aquino, the guy that has a lot of power. That it was on a green card. We pulled something on him.
Yep. His went for 15. Looks like so. Could be anywhere from a $15, $20 card, maybe. Which when you consider everything else we hit is pretty solid.
This was I feel good about this this box. I think we finally got we opened a decent box, Dean.
Yeah, I feel like we went a little long. We apologize if you guys. Hey, thank you for sticking with us this entire time. Went over an hour or so. And again, if you're watching us on the YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. Comment to us in the comment section. Somebody's answering those comments. I think it's at you, Simon. I'm not really sure, but somebody's been all over it.
We try to be pretty interactive with our YouTube audience. So we're actively looking for comments. And if you guys have any prospects that you're hunting in the Bowman set, leave it in the comments below. And if you guys saw any cards that we may have drawn from that box that we weren't aware that were a good card, just leave a comment down there and we'll look it up and check it out.
Yeah, slide into Simon's DMs. They're available, right?
They are.
Before we step aside and get out of here, I did want to ask her, promote, Brennan, tell us what you wrote this week on RotoGrinders.
Sure. So last Friday, I released an article around my market cap analysis. We've kind of been introducing it on these videos over the last few weeks. I go into greater detail around LeBron James market cap for his rookies in 2003, as well as comparing Dak Prescott with Deshaun Watson and trying to see if that gives us an idea of whether or not Dak has some upside from an ROI perspective. So that went out on Friday. You can check that out under the sports cards menu there at RotoGrinders.
Same deal, Simon, and also tell them where they can find you on the old interwebs.
Yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Yeti Boom Films. You can also find me in the RG Sports Card channel in our Discord. And I wrote an article earlier this week on quarterback modern day legends, kind of looking at some of the rookie cards of some of the quarterbacks who've made the biggest impact over the last 20 years to give people an idea of price targets they might want to use for targeting those types of cards if they want to add some historical quarterbacks to their collection. And some of them are well, actually most of them on that list are still playing. So you have an opportunity for more catalysts that could drive more upside to those cards.
Yeah, and Simon, confirm this. I'll feel like a big jerk if it's not true, but the Discord, you don't have to be necessarily an RG premium member, right? Anybody can jump in there, correct?
Yeah, anyone can jump in there. It's not a premium channel. You can get into that Discord by going to our video page and clicking on the chat in there. That'll take you to the Discord server. I don't know what the actual link is off the top of my head, but if you go to our RG video page, you can find it there.
Brennan, you tell me, where can I find you on the internet?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the DFS Advisor. I'm going to start posting some more things on Twitter around kind of the market analysis that we've done. Just some tidbits as we dig into the data. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll start posting some things on Instagram when they come in the mail. I'm not an IG guy, so I'm still learning it. But cards are hot on IG if you're looking for something to pass the time.
Yeah, we talked about leaving messages in the comment section on YouTube. If you have any ideas for shows, like something you want us to talk about, something you want us to feature, feel free to throw us. All ideas will be entertained. With that, we're going to step aside. We much appreciate you guys listening to Sports Card Grinders. For Simon, for Brennan, I'm Dean. We're out of here. Holler.